Before you buy a GoHighLevel account or sign up a contract with a GHL agency, stop. Because the decision you make next is either going to give you a simple system that actually runs your business, or it's going to turn into a potentially $100 to $500 per month tech tax that's quietly draining your time and your energy. Check it out. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the three real options that you have with GoHighLevel. Either DIY, do it yourself, agency, and what I like to call having an authority OS partner. And we're going to look at the pricing, the pros, the cons, and I'm giving you just a really clear decision matrix so you know exactly which path is going to be right for you. And I'll be blunt, I'm not going to tell you that everyone should work with me. And for some of you, I'm going to tell you not to. Let's get into it. So first, let's clear up two big myths about GoHighLevel. GoHighLevel or GHL is not a business in a box. And a GoHighLevel account is not the same thing as revenue. And what I see is a lot of people sign up thinking like, hey, if I just get the right software, my business will magically work. And what they actually end up with is just a login, a bill every month, and a whole lot of confusion. So what if we just strip away the hype and we say, what actually is GHL? GHL is a toolkit. It is a blank canvas. It has all the potential to run your marketing, run your sales, run your delivery, but until you decide it's going to actually work for your business, it's basically a giant Home Depot for funnels and for automations. Software is not the business, okay? Your operating system is the business. GHL is just what makes your operation systems live. So when we talk about buying a GoHighLevel, we're really talking about how are we going to turn a blank canvas into a simple operating system that we can trust. Now, here's what's important to know. There's really three main paths that people take, okay? And those three paths are, first, you can go DIY, you can get a direct GHL account. Two, you can hire a typical GHL agency or buy someone's snapshot. Three, you work with what I call an authority OS partner. And that's really someone who just designs and installs a full operating system with you and your team in mind. Let's start with the one people tend to default to, and that's DIY. If you go the DIY route, here's what the pricing roughly looks like as of right now. The starter plan, the basic one, is right around $97 a month. You have the unlimited plan, which is right around $297 a month, and then you have the upper higher tier SaaS plan. And that's really only appropriate for someone that's trying to actually resell GHL as a software, what they call SaaS, software as a service. Now, on the starter plan, you get all the core features that pretty much any business needs to run and function appropriately. Workflows, campaigns, SMS, emails, apps, pipelines, funnels, calendars, reporting, forms, surveys, chat widgets. One thing I think is awesome is you get unlimited contacts and also up to 3 sub-accounts. Then you have the unlimited plan. And that's where you get everything from the starter, plus you have full API access, you have unlimited sub-accounts, and in this case, that's great if you're more of an agency, or maybe if you're managing multiple brands. And if you choose to bump up to the SaaS plan, software as a service, you unlock things like rebilling, split testing, agent reporting. They also give you AI conversational bots and more advanced API. So on paper, DIY definitely looks like a steal. And look, overall, $97 to a few $100 a month, and you've got the keys to the kingdom, but monthly subscriptions really is only a part of the cost that you want to consider. Let's start with the good side of DIY. Pros: has the lowest hard cost. There is no big setup fee. You have full control and visibility. It is your account, your data, your decisions. This is great if you are technical, if you're early stage, you actually enjoy building systems, and GHL offers 24/7 tech support via Zoom, via chat, which honestly is incredible compared to most platforms. But there are some definitely downsides that a lot of people don't calculate. So your cons, there can definitely be a steep learning curve. It is very easy to turn your account into a junk drawer with random snapshots, half-built funnels, workflows that you completely forget about. And your time becomes the most expensive line item here. Now, here's the part that almost no one talks to you about. If you value your time, let's just say $200 an hour, and you spend 30 to 40 hours over the next couple months just clicking around, watching YouTube tutorials, trying things, on with chat support, breaking things, You've effectively paid $6,000 to $8,000 and you still might not have a finished, reliable operating system. So DIY isn't a $97 a month. It's a $97 plus whatever your time is worth times dozens of hours. Okay. Now, I'm not saying DIY is bad. There are definitely times when DIY absolutely makes sense. DIY is a good fit if you are under about, let's just say, $5,000 to $10,000 a month. Maybe you're still validating your offer. It's okay if you're moving a little bit slower. You want to deeply understand the tool before you ever delegate it out to maybe a virtual assistant. And if that's you, DIY can definitely be the smartest path. You can leverage all the tech and the help support that comes from GHL as long as you attack it with what I call just a clear plan. But if you're already growing, your time is your bottleneck, DIY can become a very expensive way just to sort of stay stuck. So what do most people do when they hit that wall? They do the next logical thing, and that's look for an agency. So let's talk about option number 2. Your typical GHL agency, or what I call a snapshot provider, here's what most of them actually sell. Pre-built snapshots, one-off funnel, one-off calendar, maybe a set of automations, maybe some ad campaigns or email campaigns just layered on top. So just to give you a quick little rundown of GHL, initially it was only designed for agencies specifically, which meant that if I was an agency owner, I now would have a software where I could help my clients moving forward. And over time, GHL got so popular that now basically anybody can get an account. So the challenge is that when you work with a specific agency, a lot of have prices that are all over the place, and they get to decide as the agency, what do they want to offer? How much do they want to offer it for? How do they want to support? So there's a lot of things that every agency gets to decide on. And because of that, you're going to see a variety of what they provide, what they produce, how they're going to support you, so on and so forth. One of those things in particular happens to be pricing. With some, you'll see they include snapshots included with maybe other free services. Some have low-end snapshots for maybe $37. Some just resell accounts for about the $97 a month mark with a couple extras versus maybe just going to GHL directly. And then I've seen some agencies that have super high-end packages at $347 and up, sometimes even $1,000 or higher. It all depends on what their area of expertise is, who they're serving, and how they're servicing them. And look, on the surface, this can sound amazing, right? Just pay a fee, plug in a snapshot, and boom, you are in business. But let's talk about the reality. So let's go over pros first. Now, with the pros, there's usually a lot faster than just a pure DIY, right? So someone else has maybe done a lot of the initial building, a lot of the heavy lifting, and you essentially get to borrow someone else's expertise and patterns. It can be good if you're literally just getting one funnel up, quickly running a specific campaign. And to be fair, some agencies do know what they're doing, right? So, I'm never really belittling anybody else, but here are the big cons that I see over and over again is you wind up ending up with a collection of funnels and not a coherent operating system. So every agency has their own specialty of what they're really good at. I work with coaches, speakers, trainers, authors, consultants. That is a very particular niche that I want to focus on. So I don't focus on real estate. I don't focus on insurance. I don't focus on healthcare. Could I go through, could I learn all these models? Absolutely. But as an agency owner, it is my duty, my responsibility to make sure that I can service my clients in the best way possible. So I'm not looking to just bring on a flood of everyone that just raises their hands. I want to really be able to serve and to help those kind of people that I know their background. I know what their problems are. I know how pipelines should align. I know how funnels should be structured, how all these systems should be organized. So the one thing I will always say is that if you're going to pick an agency, you want to do so knowing that they know where you're at, what is needed, not just from the concept of, hey, let me just set something small up, but actually let's start with the end in mind and reverse engineer it from there. And one other huge part you want to take into account, just because some agencies have the right pieces in place to ideally help you, a lot of it they still honestly leave up to you to build. So if you've ever gone in and you see a funnel that's with filler text, that'll say lorem ipsum and a whole bunch of other words that make absolutely no sense, and the onus is still on you to go in and craft it. So you want to be conscious of, okay, if you're going to sign up with an agency, how much is actually specifically going to help you done by the agency and how much is actually beholden on you. And then you have to take your skill set into account, decide, okay, well, if I go this route, can I actually fulfill on the things that they're saying is now on you to take care of? And as part of that, sometimes you'll notice that there's no unified naming, pipelines, reporting. So you can still possibly feel blind looking at the back end in your system. You also become dependent, which means that every change requires either a support ticket, a Loom video, and potentially another invoice. And when you eventually want to part ways, you also don't often fully understand what you own or how it works. And I have seen some agencies where once you come in, they actually charge you to be able to take your items out and to move away from them, or they don't release it at all. Who is this path secretly designed for? People who want to believe that they can just outsource their entire marketing brain, or founders who are maybe allergic to structure and just want someone to handle it. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most GHL agencies do not sell you a system. Okay, they sell you more of like moving pieces. Now, if that stings a little bit, it's because a lot of us have learned the hard way. So if DIY is cheap but slow and agencies are fast but fragile, then really what is that third option? Well, option 3 is what I call your authority OS partner. And this is the path that I personally built my business around, specifically for coaches, consultants, and agencies who are already monetized. Now, here's how an authority OS partner is different. They design the architecture first, which means your offers, your pipelines, your stages, your dashboards. They build or even co-build the system with you and your team instead of just disappearing off into a cave and then throwing it over the wall. And then they also help to document everything so your team can run it without you. Now, let's walk through the pros and the cons. Pros, you wind up owning an actual operating system, not just a bunch of random funnels or messages or miscellaneous assets. You have a team that learns to drive the system, so you are not chained to one implementer forever. And it also is going to totally align with your stage if you're already monetized and ready for serious structure, not just a quick pop-up funnel. As for cons, it does most likely require a higher upfront investment than just DIY or just a cheaper snapshot. Also is going to require your involvement in core decisions, things like offer structure, pipeline stages, and just how you want your business to run. And then it also requires you to step out of your comfort zone and to be visible, especially if you want to build things like event engines and authority content. So I will say this path isn't right for everyone, but for the right person, it's usually the cheapest in the long run because you're building something that can actually scale. Now let's put all of this together and answer the question, which path is right for me? Now, I want you to consider 3 things. First thing is, what is your revenue stage? And if your revenue stage is under maybe about $5,000 a month, DIY it with a simple, clear plan. That's usually enough. Maybe grab a consultant or a starter template just to avoid big mistakes. Now, if you're at $5,000, $10,000 a month, give or take, or above, you don't need another random funnel. What you do truly need is an operating system that can actually support your growth as you go. Next is going to be time versus cash. So if you have more time than cash, DIY can definitely be a smart path as long as you follow a plan and don't try and build everything at once. Now, if you happen to have more cash than time and you're constantly stuck in the weeds, then an authority OS partner is usually a better investment than just a random agency because you're building a really solid foundation, not just a miscellaneous campaign. And third is your personality. If you want to own the system, you want to lead a team, then either DIY or Authority OS partner will honestly be the best bet. You can either build it yourself, you can build it with a partner, and then you can lead your team through it. Now, if you choose to just abdicate all responsibility and you really just want to throw everything over the fence, then an agency might be exactly what it is that you're looking for. Just make sure that their incentives and their structure really are aligned with yours. Here's the punchline. Regardless of whatever path you choose, DIY, agency, or Authority OS partner, the next problem I can almost guarantee you're going to face is the same. Most people, when they get into GHL, they treat it just like a junk drawer, not an operating system. So they pile on funnels, they add in multiple snapshots, campaigns without ever deciding how the business is actually going to use them and how they're going to run. And that's exactly what my next video is about. The number one mistake that kills your results. And in that video, I'm going to show you exactly how to avoid the junk drawer trap and start thinking in terms of one simple authority operating system. Now, if you want help making this decision or you just want to see the real back-end examples of operating systems built in GHL, I have a free school community called GHL University, and inside you're going to find trainings, maps, behind-the-scene breakdowns that I don't post anywhere else. So you can join for free. I'm going to put the link right in the description. And if you're already in that 5 to 10,000 plus per month range and you want to explore working with me as your Authority OS partner, there's also a link below that you're going to see, and just check out if you're a fit for our programs. Look, whichever path you choose, make your decision on purpose, be intentional, not out of convenience, not out of hype. I'll see you in the next video.